Well, that was a very disappointing game for the Chiefs. Now, I am recording this video a little bit later. I'm recording this game probably 3 or 4 hours after the game has ended, just so I can finally settle down. I wanted to watch the 49ers and Rams game, fully calm down from the game, let the disappointment, as much as I could, subside. It's obviously still there, but it stinks. Like, this loss really, really stinks. The Chiefs lost to the Bengals 27-24 in the AFC Championship game. Chiefs, they were hosting their fourth straight AFC Championship game, and I was hoping they would get to their third straight Super Bowl, and obviously that did not happen. It was a tale of two halves. Like, I don't think these two halves could have been any more opposite for the Chiefs than what they were in this game. I don't think I've seen two halves of any football team be this completely lopsided and different, maybe ever. Like, this, it was bad, because in the first half, you look at the Chiefs offensively, they played a fantastic, nearly perfect first half. 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. The defense was playing fairly solid. The defense played, I'll talk about the defense real quick. The defense played a very good game. Like, let's not be over dramatic. The defense played a fairly solid game. Now, the fact that they were only able to get 1 sack on a terrible offensive line that the Bengals have, that's a little bit concerning, because you would expect a team with that bad of an offensive line to do a little bit better. Like, let's be honest. Like, that's bad. That is really bad. But the defense, I don't think, was the problem in this game. Yeah, the Bengals scored 27 points, but that's because the defense was put in some very bad situations late in the game that it's really hard to overcome. The defense, like I said, they played as good as they could. I thought the defense played fine. There's things you could have changed, maybe not blitzing as much, or just little adjustments, tweaks here and there. But overall, for their focus not letting Jamar Chase really kill them, I think they did okay in that scenario. The other guys like Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, they had fairly solid games. But other than that, I thought they did a good job of what they really, really wanted to do. So the defense, I'm not upset with really the performance of the defense. I thought they did the best they could. It's the offense that really struggled in this game. The first half, as I mentioned, first 3 drives, nearly perfect football. I think Mahomes was like 12 of 14, like 3 touchdowns. His yardage was great. And everything was perfect with Mahomes. 1 incompletion on the first 3 drives of the entire game. And then you had the final drive of the first half for the Chiefs. And I think that drive completely broke the Chiefs. Their demeanor, their mindset, it broke everything. It broke, I think, the spirit of this team. Because the Bengals, they score a touchdown. That was one of the drives where the defense really struggled. But the Chiefs had 1 minute and 5 seconds left, and I think they still had 1 or 2 timeouts left. And the timeout situation was a little bit wonky, because earlier in the game, the Chiefs, it was like the first drive of the game, the Chiefs got a first down, but the referee spotted it really short. It was a really, really bad spot. The ref spotted it short. The Chiefs had to waste a timeout and then challenge, and then, so that timeout that the Chiefs had to waste earlier in the game, I think, I don't want to chalk that up for them, losing this game. That's not what I'm getting at. But maybe on that last drive, they maybe call a timeout and kick a field goal instead. But that play at the end of the first half, I think, killed any spirit that this team had. And they were, after that play, the offense was really, really struggling. They then ran 7 plays, 16 yards, 6 plays, 17 yards. Mahomes was intercepted, 5 plays, -2 yards, 4 plays, -4 yards. And then that final drive where they were able to kick the field goal, I thought that was the drive. Maybe they got a little bit of their swagger back, hopefully, move down the field, score a touchdown. But then that just completely botched. They had 1st and goal at the 5-yard line, and they ended up kicking a 44-yard field goal. Like, they completely screwed that situation. And it wasn't... And Mahomes didn't play a good game for his standards either. Like, he was taking really bad sacks. He was making some bad throws, like the interception he threw in overtime that just kind of sealed the entire season. The interception that he threw earlier in the third quarter that led to the Bengals touchdown. And that's what I'm talking about. The defense didn't play a bad game. They were put in a bad situation. The Bengals only had to go 27 yards. So that wasn't That's not on the defense. The offense put the defense in some very bad situations, I felt like, and a lot of times in this game. Like, you can't ask a defense that is very average, who is playing the absolute best that they possibly could, in my opinion. You can't ask them to do more than that, especially when they have an offense that we know what they can do and they're just not doing it. So it's hard to blame the defense for this performance. Offensively, though, Mahomes, he just came out flat in the second half. Looked like he lost confidence, and it looked really, really bad in the second half. And the play calling wasn't perfect either. There was a lot of times where I was getting irritated watching this game, where I just wanted Andy Reid to throw the ball instead of passing it. I'm just like, I understand completely, because last week they did that Blake Bell thing against the Bills, and we were just like, okay, that was a stupid play call. Honestly, that play call, if the Chiefs could have lost, may have cost them their season last week. But I'm not saying that you want to take the ball out of Mahomes' hands, but the running game is working. Like, it's really, really well. McKinnon and Clyde, I thought, were running fairly well in this game. I mean, McKinnon, my God, that dude was going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yards every single time he touched the football. So their inability to just continue to run the ball really bothered me. And I know you don't want to take away the ball from your best player, Mahomes, but he was struggling. But the run game was one thing that was working fantastic. And it's not like the Bengals were rushing, the line of scrimmage either. They were all dropping in coverage, waiting for the pass, because they didn't want to get beat. So they were rushing 3 at times in this game. So they should have been running the football more than they did. And then that final drive that led to a field goal was just bad. They had 1st and goal at the 5. They ran the ball. And the Chiefs were doing exactly what they needed to do. They needed to run the clock down, make sure that Joe Burrow didn't get the ball back, everything. Fine, I get the situation. But there was no reason to be throwing back-to-back plays. Like, it would be one thing to have to kick a really short field goal because you couldn't score at the 5-yard line, but taking back-to-back sacks is that's not good. That's indefensible. Mahomes should have thrown the ball away. He should have made some better plays. But the fact that they were even calling pass plays in those situations, I thought was just bad, and just bad coaching, bad situational. And then obviously overtime, throwing to Demarcus Robinson 2 times in a row. Really? The guy that hadn't done anything the entire game, when McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Pringle in there were the ones really doing, McKinnon, Clyde were the ones doing most of the work, and you throw it to Demarcus Robinson, the guy that hadn't touched the ball the entire game. Does not make sense to me. I thought that was bad. I thought that was really bad coaching. And it was kind of frustrating, because offensively there was guys that had really, really good games. Like Mahomes, that first TD pass to Tyreek Hill was just a great throw and catch, an absolute rocket. Mahomes' insane scramble to Travis Kelce for a touchdown. Like, he was just dancing in the pocket. And then you have McCole Hardman also getting himself a touchdown. Like, there was guys that played well. The offensive line, like that, what Brett Veach, the one thing that we wanted to be rebuilt last offseason, stepped up, played a great game. But Mahomes he had one of his best halves ever, and then had one of his worst halves of football ever, all in the same game. It's just kind of fitting that the Chiefs season ends on an interception. The one thing the Chiefs had a whole bunch of issues with the entire season. Like, this game was everything from the Chiefs. Like, their best offense that they could possibly give, and then their best defense that they could possibly give. Some of the worst offensive performance that we've seen all year. They've showed that at times in this game. The turnovers, some bad defense at times. It was literally just a mess of everything wrong with the Chiefs, and it really sucked that it reared its head in a playoff game. But I also don't want to diminish anything that the Bengals did. Joe Burrow, the fact that they came down from 21-3. Like, that was an all-time choke job by the Chiefs, but congrats to the Bengals capitalizing on every one of those mistakes. They are going to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, his second year, coming off of a torn ACL, and a team that nobody thought would make the Super Bowl, a team that has an absolutely garbage offensive line, that they now play the Rams in the Super Bowl. I don't think that game is going to be very close for the Bengals. That's just not me being salty. It's just Aaron Donald is hungry. He's going to want that. But all the credit in the world to Joe Burrow. Dude stands in there. He makes plays. The dude was just... There was times in that game where the defense had sacks on Joe Burrow, and he was just evading all of them. I mean, credit to the Bengals. They came back. They played a heck of a game. They beat the Chiefs twice. It happened twice this year with the Chiefs. The Chiefs looked great in the first half and then just fell apart in the second half. Bengals, they played a great game. And Joe Burrow, you got to kind of root for the guy in the Super Bowl. And just, it's really cool to see a guy like Joe Burrow, a guy who ever since UCF decided to taunt the dude, I don't think the football scene has not been the same. But that's my recap of the Chiefs and the Bengals. Very disappointing way to end the season, but we now know what we got to do to build and come back better next year with this team. You know, we have the offense mainly intact, get a little bit of extra receiver help, definitely tighten up that defensive line, and then the secondary just needs a little bit more help. But I don't think this Chiefs team, I mean, the key pieces are still going to be there, hopefully. And hopefully they can make another run and keep being a dominant team for years to come.